I posted about Simran's magnificent transformation weeks ago, and his incredible success ignited a lot of interest in what we do and how we do it. One of the most amazing things to come of this transformation was the recognition that we don't just work with one type of client. We achieve success with vegetarians, non-vegetarians, males and females, younger adults and older adults, people who run their own businesses, and people that work in the corporate world, doctors, pharmacists, and dentists alike. So how do we consistently achieve success with all of these different types of clients? The programs that we develop are individual. They're for the specific person we see before us, and there's never a one-size-fits-all approach. So when I was asked the questions, what were Simran's macros, what type of training does he do, or how long did his training plan take, the answers in many ways are irrelevant to you as a person. So let me give you some context as to why they're irrelevant. You may be coming to this process with 10 years of training experience, whereas Simran came to it with a lot less. You may be coming to this process with an ability to commit 12 hours of your week to it, whereas Simran was doing this around his social life, around his business and his family's needs, and integrating it as part of a long-term strategy. You may have zero idea of what protein, carbs, or fats are, whereas Simran was able to start tracking his nutritional intake fairly quickly as we reinforce the importance of building awareness around intake, especially with meals out and alcohol consumption. You may be coming to this process with low stress or very little emotional baggage, whereas with Simran, for his journey, it was key to help him develop a confidence that he had never experienced before, along with the demands of being a business owner and always trying to overachieve in life. You see, your individual needs go beyond your weight, your height, and body fat percentages. There is way more at play when delivering a personal service that integrates into your life with a stepwise approach to adapting your actions over time to achieve your forever transformation. And even with all of these elements being catered for, there's no guarantee of success without three incredibly important and overlooked aspects of transforming your health. 1, self-belief. 2, communication. And 3, action. Simran was so close to quitting this journey, a month into starting it. So this transformation almost never happened. But after a little belief was instilled into him with one call that changed his life and made him step up and hold himself accountable for his actions and reminded him of the powerful reasons that he began this journey with us, things started to click, and that's when we started to see huge strides forward being made. Well, that's the little introduction out of the way. So let's get into answering a few of the questions around the practical steps we took to make this goal a reality. So let's have a look at where Simran started from. When he began his journey, his waist measurement came in at 106 centimeters, and over the course of time, that's dropped all the way down to 82 centimeters. His hip measurements alike have gone from 98 centimeters right down to a low of 86 centimeters. His weight when he began with us was 100 kilos, and that's dropped right down to 79 kilos since he began his journey with us. In phase 1, when body fat levels are high, energy levels are low, and fatigue sets in quickly, it can be highly demotivating when you start to train. This is seriously when the value of willpower takes on a new level as you're trying to rewrite years worth of mental programming that keeps you in this comfort zone, that keeps you from pushing your body too hard and tells you that comfort eating away your stress is actually a good thing to do. And remember as well, you've always been told that you need to train super hard and train beast mode. So it can be difficult going to the gym and seeing everyone else throwing deadlifts around, building their chest and their arms up, whilst you have been specifically told to focus on improving your aerobic health, reducing your resting heart rate and your blood pressure so you can be fitter, healthier, and be able to train harder, but more importantly, recover even harder. In phase 1, the main focus for Simran was habit-based towards nutrition. Understanding the value of tracking foods, especially with social intakes from meals out or even alcohol consumption, and how to adapt his nutritional intake over the course of the week to ensure he wasn't running too low on the days he was training to make up for the excess that he consumed over the weekend, which then would have impacted his performance as well as his recovery. You can see from this he was consuming anything from 1900 calories all the way up to 3300 calories, and it was constantly fluctuating through the course of the weeks. But we always saw this trend that calories were going in a lot higher over the course of the weekends. So this was one of the things that we really worked on. So these are some of the habits that are really crucial to nail down within the first phase. His training was designed to get him training hard for short bursts and giving him time to then recover from these bouts of activity. Working on his aerobic health and postural muscles were key for the long term, especially with his back being prone to injuries. Once he had ingrained these habits, he'd started to see progress on the scales and progress in the measurements as well. And that in itself was highly motivating. So then it was time to actually push him on a little bit, up the ante and get him working a little bit harder, focusing more on strength in phase 2. As you can see from this training program, we utilized antagonistic supersets and a little bit of Metcon to really push home this thought process of strength as well as endurance. Coming through this phase and realizing that there was a power behind food, and we had to continually add in regular refeeds because his body fat was dropping significantly, and therefore we needed to make sure that he was focused on power, on recovery and performance. And soon he was ready to go into a block of hypertrophy specific work. We pushed him towards a more hypertrophy style process where he was using push, pull and lower style workouts. And we scaled back on the intensity of his conditioning work, making sure it was more cardiovascular output, lower intensity and steady state, because we didn't want to put too much stress on him to the point that he wouldn't recover from his workouts. There were times that we noticed small drops in performance, and after some coaching on the value of tracking data and biofeedback, we noticed trends in his statistics. For example, when he had restless sleep or short sleep quantity, it had an immediately negative impact on his energy levels, recovery, and even fasted blood glucose readings. This immediately gave us the ability to coach Simran and advise him on the importance of sleep and recovery for his training and his performance, as well as his long-term goal of fat loss. As you can see, he took the advice on board, and within a week his fasted blood glucose levels dropped significantly and the quality of his sleep also improved. One of the things that we highlighted to him was, if you can't train properly, you're under-recovered and you're feeling low energy, then there's going to be an immediate and directly negative impact on things like productivity at work. With this comes another negative impact. Less productivity means less work is being done, which means less time to do the small things like think about what meals to make, or train, or even get some steps in. Poor sleep also correlates with higher cravings and increased reward behaviors and lower performance levels when you train, which shows the value in knowing your numbers and how to effectively improve them. Whilst it would be easy for me to sit here and say this process was easy, it wasn't. There were continual hurdles to overcome. Prior to lockdown, Simran went on a holiday for a week. When he came back, he hadn't put any significant amount of weight on, and he was actually raring to go. Why? Because he wasn't dieting for this event. He had learned how to manage events and made choices around food intake that suited his long-term vision for himself. Then lockdown happens and everyone feared for their gains and months of lost progress. But this is when the skill of coaching truly stands out from the many plans that you can find out there, from the internet or even on social media. Working around the limited equipment Simran had, we custom built an approach to his training, a specific program that allowed him to continue from where he left off in the gym. With a few movements in his program that he didn't particularly enjoy, we then amended his program and found a format that suited him, his timeframes to exercise, and kept him focused on continually moving forwards towards his goal. Overcoming obstacles and developing relevant solutions for the individual's needs at the right time is why personal and professional coaching is key in the pursuit of a forever transformation. If you have any questions on the work that we did with Simran during his transformation, please feel free to comment below.